A very happy Friday morning. Welcome to the Early Edge, brought to you by BetMGM, the sports book born in Vegas. We've got an amazing show today. We got four incredible experts. You know, it's BP Friday. But before we get to all of our experts, let's see what we did last night on the primetime show. And of course, during the morning show, we've got all the picks combined here. It's a losing day overall, 7-9. I woke up to a golf loser with Max Grazerman, but we ended up making money over the last 2 days on golf. Either way, RJ 2 for 4, got a couple good picks in there, a couple X's, Minnesota game. Man, we could talk all day about how that game ended, but either way, good win for the Rams. Ladies and gentlemen, let's just get right to it. I see Steve in here. I see Mark. I see Brian. I see John. And I think everybody is waiting for BPE Friday. We go. Oh, Buckets, I thought you were actually going to rip your shirt. Are you in pain? I don't know what's going on right now. Mike, where's the book? Maybe you were reading it earlier. I was so focused on Buckets there. There it is. All right, ladies and gentlemen, before we get to picks, before we get to maybe some reaction for last night or for some reaction to tonight's World Series start, we all need our Chip Me Up.
Good morning, Sia. Good morning, Snyder. Good morning, Buckets. Good morning, Mike. Good morning, Snake. Good morning, Early Edge fam. Ready to knock this one out of the park. Fired up for Sniper's World Series Game 1 play and ready to get you set with Friday and Saturday winners in college football. Let's go.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Sniper, you were the first on the list there. It looks like you're rocking a fresh cut. We've got the Yankees. We've got the Dodgers. You got to be excited for this series.
Very excited. Just hanging out in my hotel room here in Los Angeles. So, I'm hoping for a lot of power this series, kind of foreshadowing for my play.
I got a question for Sniper.
Yeah,
Do you think that anyone would price a total runs over under for the series, acknowledging that you don't know how many games are going to be in the series? So you'd be having to bet on both like the runs and also how deep the series would go?
I've never heard of anything like that. That's kind of fun.
I was thinking it was fun, and I was going to go over because it's just dingers in 7 games. Like, where can I place that wager? What house will take that?
That would be very, very interesting. I almost feel like if they did that, the play would be the under.
Without a doubt.
Because of the chances that it wouldn't go all the way and everybody would be betting the over. Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. I think you can tag BetMGM and see if they'll put a lineup for you. Sportsbooks aren't foreign to just putting a lineup for something, especially if they think they've got an edge on it. All right, Buckets and Mike, I want to get your reaction to last night and how the game ended. But Buckets, I got to get your reaction too, because 2 days ago you were 3-0. Yesterday you lost your 2 plays, but you hit the interception prop. Your reaction?
Oh, did I?
Oh, you didn't know? Yes,
no,
you hit it, Matt.
I want to say this. See, let me say this real quick. I am 30 years old, and I have never watched a single Matt game. There you go, Sniper, of a World Series in my life. But I will give out right now Los Angeles Dodgers to win the series 4-2. I just want that out in the universe there. I think that's going to happen. Dodgers winning 6.
It's obviously going to hit. It's obviously going to hit. All right, Mike, Minnesota, I know you had them yesterday. They end up losing. They had a chance to tie the game at the end. Before we get into our first picks, and you all know how we usually do it on a Friday, Chip's going to give out a college football Friday night pick. Then we're going to get to Buckets picks, and then we're just going to go through all the picks, and Chip's going to have more college football at the end of the show. But, Mike, your reaction to yesterday, I don't know if you want to speak to the game. I think the implications of the Rams winning are pretty huge with Cooper Kupp and Matt Stafford probably staying in town. But any reaction to how the game ended with the obvious face mask that was not called?
Yeah, I mean, I think I speak for everyone in that we'd all love to see the clear and obvious play, get reviewed like that. And the reason why we don't review penalties now is because every single pass you could review for pass interference, right? Mm-hmm. And that is probably the reason behind it. But in that situation, I think it's common sense should prevail. And I think everyone there kind of knows. I would like to think that we see that addressed going forward in the NFL season. Obviously not going to happen this year, but potentially in the off season, it would be nice to be able to see those calls be overturned. As far as the official, yes, there was an official standing right there. I'm not an official, obviously. It is hard to do that job. It really is. It is a difficult job to do. The game happens so fast. And there are many times when a player does get spun around by being grabbed by a shoulder pad or a collar, right? So it is difficult. I do think that they should essentially throw the flag there and then be able to review it, right? Just like they review other things in the game. They let a fumble play out and run into the end zone now so they can go back and review it. I think the same thing should happen there. So hopefully that is something that changes going forward.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. The official that we wanted to have the call made there, he didn't necessarily have the best angle. I still think he probably could have seen it, but I also thought there was another official in play. I mean, it's not like it was like clouded. It was just right in front of everybody. And I do agree that like plays like that, especially singular plays like that where everybody's watching, we know replay assist has the ability to get into the official's ear and be like, hey, listen, that was a penalty. Put the flag on the field right now. Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, and it's totally different leagues, but I think this one stung a lot more for the fans and people watching betting, because you just watched the Texas game in college football where they did change a penalty flag via replay assist, right? So I know that they're, again, totally different leagues, same sport, different leagues, but it just becomes more frustrating when you're like, wow, see how easy that was? Like that's why it becomes so frustrating for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, let's get into some picks. I saw somebody, I mean, there's a lot of people. I think even Danny Braska, who's in the chat, I think he had the under and he got it at 48.5. Like there were a lot of people legitimately affected by what looked like incompetence from the officials. And I just feel like if you can fix it, go ahead and fix it. All right, Chip, we got Friday night lights tonight. We got a big game. I mean, there's a few games, of course. UNLV, Boise State. What's the play in this one?
Oh, a little bit of a contrarian play. Not necessarily that I'm going contrarian just with the way I'm targeting it, because you want to look at Boise State's offense. You want to see if Ashton Jeanty is going to get slowed down against a UNLV team that has the best rush defense probably that Ashton Jeanty has faced all year. Barry Odom, the head coach there, very good defensive mind. But I don't want to focus on that because hey, I've been talking to a lot of college football fans, as one does during this time of year. And I'm like, all right, so you know Ashton Jeanty, okay? So you know Max Madsen, you know the Mad Dog, the quarterback. Can you name me one Boise State defensive player? And then it's crickets. And I'm like, well, what has Boise State's defense done that is really impressed you so far this year when we're putting Boise State right there in the college football playoff? Crickets. Now, what has UNLV's offense done? What has UNLV's offense done for us, the early edge fam, since they made that quarterback change and put Haj Malik Williams in there? I think Haj Malik Williams, Ricky White, and the rest of this UNLV offense are going to be able to score in this matchup. They're going to be playing at home. It's going to be a little bit of a fast track. And at over 30.5, we've got so many ways to win. Is Boise State absolutely just breaking off explosive runs after explosive runs? Well, those short possessions means UNLV gets the ball more often. Maybe UNLV's defense does bow up and they keep them to 3 and out, and Boise State's not able to move the ball. More possessions for UNLV. So it doesn't even matter where we are with the spread. And I do think, though, it is going to come down to those last couple possessions in the game. I think UNLV team total over is the best way to attack this when looking for a winner in one of the capital A absolute best college football games on the Week 9 slate. Check it out on CBS Sports Network tonight, 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff.
That's a great promo for CBS Sports Network. There's a lot of football. I mean, Tuesday, Conference USA, I was watching some of those games on Tuesday and Wednesday night. And speaking of CBS Sports Network, I got to remind everybody, because I feel like there's a few people that somehow still don't know this, but I know a lot of people lock in on your college football show that you two do. You and Mike, of course, with Emery Hunt and Eric Cohen. It's on CBS Sports Network. What people may not realize is that show is also in your YouTube feed on SportsLine. I promise you, even if you're thinking, hey, I'm not sure I want to bet on college football, I'm an NFL guy, maybe there's some people out there. You listen to that show and you've got some really good plays. I've dropped in on that show, and Chip, Mike, I'm telling you, it's one of the best shows out there. And I'm not even just talking about the SportsLine universe. I'm talking about the universe. All right, let's move along to the pitch. Buckets, again, 0 for 2 yesterday, but 3-0 the day before. Let's see if we can go 2-0 today.
Let me channel my inner Chip Patterson here. All right, we've got some fine Bundesliga today, everyone. So let's get excited for the matchup between FC Cologne and SC Paderborn. If you remember last Friday on Big Pick Energy, I told everyone we're taking Cologne versus Hamburg, both teams to score over 2.5, and you might want to ladder this game We saw 6 goals in that game. So why would we change things if they're working? Take over 3.5 goals at this game at -105 because this Cologne side does not play defense. It is unreal. This team that was newly relegated is averaging over 4 goals scored per game right now, 9 games into the season. They'll probably lose this game, but they're going to lose it 5-3, 7-2, 4-3. I have no idea. Take the over 3.5. Don't take the both teams to score because that's -400. Let's just have some fun and root for goals in this first matchup. Second game. We're going to Chip's area here. Serie A. We're going to Italy, and we're going to Torino versus Como. Last season, you could not pay me to bet on Torino. If you said buckets, here's 10 grand. How do I bet Torino? I would just give the money back and say, I have no idea. But this season is different. Torino is actually fun to watch. They learned how to score goals, and they forgot how to play defense. Newly promoted Como side is playing like a team that belongs in Serie A. They are not going back down. They are kicking ass and taking names. And the fact that both teams to score is playable ever when Como plays is just awful. -115, absolutely all day. Sia, I'm calling my shot now. I'm going to have a 2-0 day.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but last Friday you called your shot on a 3-0 day, and you went 3-0, correct?
Yes.
Pretty impressive as Sniper nods his head in approval. And we got to get to Sniper's. I mean, talk about goals and runs and overs with Chip Patterson. And there is a question, Chip, I want to get to in a second, but I think we have some scoring that Sniper likes in the World Series Game 1. But before we get there, Chip, let me ask you something. Yeah. I think Floodhouse is asking, do you like the over 64 in that UNLV game?
Yeah, in general, yes. You know, like the reason why I was saying like it maybe contrarian wasn't the right word, but super specific in a way you're not positive is that you are dealing with a Boise State offense that has been so reliant on the very best player in the entire country that you're throwing a lot on his shoulders, you know, and we've seen sometimes in these super hyped matchups, I would not wish this on anybody, but this game script can go differently if something were to, you know, happen, or if Boise State is all of a sudden bottled up and they've got to start throwing it around. So yeah, in general, I think that Boise State wins this game. In general, I do think it's over 64, but in all of the different ways that it could go, that's why I wanted to target the UNLV team total, because the thing that I am the least confident in is Boise State getting stops against UNLV's offense.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think anytime we field questions like that, whether we get a yes or no, obviously the official pick is the official pick. These would be just kind of suggestions based on the question itself. All right. If you want to make this UNLV team total over bet, or any of the soccer bets, or any of the World Series or college football or NFL prop bets that you're about to hear, go to BetMGM. New BetMGM customers can sign up today and get up to $1,500 in bonus bets. Just place your first wager of at least $10, and you'll receive up to $1,500 instantly if your bet loses with bonus code EDGE. That's bonus code EDGE, EDGE. By the way, Ricky One says, A+ on the horns, buckets. Okay. We got to get to perhaps some more runs in Yankees Dodgers. We'll do it right after this message from our partners. We are back on the Early Edge, brought to you by BetMGM. Sniper, it's time to talk World Series. You came in here on Monday and you talked. I mean, you can remind us of what your play was, but just to remind everybody, I believe it was Dodgers to win the series at around -120 and Mookie Betts at +900 as a MVP candidate. But you have a play for Game 1, so talk to us.
You are correct on those previous two plays. On this one, I'm just going to go with a lot of scoring here. Look, I'm going to go over 8.5 for today in Game 1. The NLCS, every single one of the 6 games went over. In the ALCS, it would only want 5 games, but 3 of the 5 went over. The other 2 were exactly 7 runs when the total was 7.5. So it was right there. I believe if Major League Baseball is still doing this, they break out the juiced balls sometimes, and sometimes they don't. They're definitely breaking out the juiced balls with all these sluggers in the series, a lot of inconsistent pitchers on the mound. The Dodgers scored 46 runs in 6 NLCS games. That's almost 8 runs per game. The Yankees scored 29 runs in 5 ALCS games. That's almost 6 a game. We should see a lot of scoring here. It's not just Shohei Ohtani, Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, Mookie Betts. Up and down the lineups, we've got power all over the place in this series. Garrett Cole on the mound tonight, mixed bag so far in the playoffs, but there's a lot of question marks. Jack Flaherty on the mound for the Dodgers. Last time out against the Mets, he got absolutely shelled. Dodger Stadium has actually been very hitter friendly. I could go on and on and on. We're going to see a lot of runs this series, and it's going to start tonight.
All right. We've got noted Yankee hater Jeff Sternberg in the chat saying Dodgers 8, Yankees 1, and Sniper gets his bet home. Love it, he says.
The funny thing was there were 2 NLCS games that went over when the Dodgers did it all by themselves. So one team could absolutely do all the heavy lifting.
All right. David Talk says, I bet against my Yankees on the money line. I know, because David Talk's always in here. I know David Talk has already hit the like button. The question for everybody else is, have you all hit the like button? Because you're about to hear a lot more picks, and we would love for you to ask questions, make comments, but also hit the like button. Mike McClure, it is your turn. We turn to college football. We turn to a service academy that's putting up some points these days. Talk to us about your bet.
Yeah, it's going to be the Notre Dame Navy game tomorrow morning. Look, I think this is going to be fascinating. I like Notre Dame, first of all. I know we'll get some comments there. Mike doesn't like Notre Dame. I am a big Notre Dame fan. I love Notre Dame. I think these teams are a little closer together than the spread indicates, the spread being 13.5 for the full game. I'm going to isolate Navy here, though, to the first quarter, plus 3.5. They have to surrender at least a touchdown to lose this particular bet. But why this is fascinating to me is Notre Dame may only touch the football once in the opening quarter, especially if they defer. And the reason for that is both of these teams play incredibly slow. Army, the other service academy, is the slowest team in college football in terms of seconds per play, 34. But Navy is very close. They rank 130th out of 134 teams at 30.1 seconds per play. Notre Dame 112th, but when they're away from home, that number balloons identical to Navy. So we're talking about almost the slowest possible matchup in college football. The only one that could be slower would be Army versus Navy. When I look at this particular spot, though, Navy has had a ton of success in opening quarters because they have such a unique attack. We saw the unique attack from Northern Illinois against Notre Dame. I'm not expecting that kind of shock to the system and result, but it does take a possession or two, no matter how much you practice trying to defend this unique option attack from Navy. It takes a minute. I think that Navy will have just enough success on that opening drive. And I think Notre Dame, while they probably are going to have a ton of success in this game running the football, it's going to come with that clock running. So they need to be perfect execution-wise in the red zone with a touchdown, or else they're not covering this 3.5 in the opening quarter. If Navy gets you anything, which as long as Navy picks up a couple first downs here, like I said, that clock is going to be running here. So I like Navy. I'm not saying they're winning this game outright. I'm not even saying they're covering the 13.5, but 3.5, I think, is a very friendly look in the opening quarter where Navy has been good.
Farzad says M squared first quarter locks. Keep my stacks.
Yes.
Huge.
Let's go.
Chip Patterson just given this reminded me of Arsenio Hall for some reason.
For sure.
The dog pound. You've got 2 college picks upcoming, Chip. But before we get there, let me give out an NFL prop that I put out on SportsLine last night. Cedric Tillman over 35.5 receiving yards at minus 125. I believe this is the line you can get at BetMGM. I think in some places it's 37.5. So I certainly prefer the 35.5, obviously. Cedric Tillman was really good last week and might be the best receiver on the Cleveland Browns. Here's the thing. He hasn't played much. He's a second-year guy. He got in the game last week because Amari Cooper was traded. So it's basically Cedric Tillman, Jerry Jeudy, Elijah Moore, and David Njoku. Well, Cedric Tillman went off. He had 12 targets. Granted, most of those from Dorian Thompson-Robinson. He caught 8 of them for 81 yards, and I believe he had a touchdown as well. I think this is the actual alpha on this team. We're all waiting for Jerry Jeudy. It's been years, right? We're all waiting for Jerry Jeudy to be that guy that we saw at Alabama. We're all waiting for Elijah Moore to kind of come through. And when he was drafted by the Jets, everybody thought he was going to be really good. Those guys just aren't the dudes. And I think Njoku is going to get some looks from Jameis Winston, the starter. But at the end of the day, you got to go to your best receiver. And I actually think that is Cedric Tillman, former Vol. Again, 8 for 12, eight catches on 12 targets last week. I think we're going to see more of the same, especially because this Browns team is likely to get worked by the Baltimore Ravens. Negative game script. The Ravens give up a lot through the passing game, especially late in garbage time. So I think if Cedric Tillman is even pedestrian through the first 3 quarters, he'll be on the field in the fourth to catch up here. Buckets mentioned laddering plays when he was talking soccer. I think Cedric Tillman, listen, this could be a miss. There's other targets on the field, but I think this is a really good opportunity. I think the market really doesn't know what to do with Cedric Tillman. And if he ends up with 81 yards again, it wouldn't surprise me at all. You can get crazy plus money, 50 plus, 60 plus, 70 plus, 80 plus. And in this type of game script, if I'm right that he's the best receiver on the field, and if I'm right that Jameis Winston's going to sling it, this guy could get 80, 90 plus. Just a thought, but I'm taking the over 35.5 receiving yards. So that's my prop. I'll probably have more props up at SportsLine. But Chip, you've already given out one Friday Night Lights play. Let's talk Saturday.
Yeah, let's go to Saturday. Both of these are primetime games and first of all, full endorsement on Mike's first quarter play, because that means you're sweating the coin toss. That means you're sweating the very first possession. That means you got some hair on your chest, and it might not even be 1 p.m. Eastern time. I'll be right there with you. I love it. But later in the day, let's start down in Hard Rock Stadium. Let me tell you a little tale, because Mario Cristobal came home. We're here, I won championships here, and we're going to be hard and tough. And in his very first game against Florida State at home in front of all those Miami fans, Mike Norvell was ruthless. 45-3. Florida State ran it up on Miami in the second half. And do you think that Mario Cristobal has forgotten that? I don't think Mario Cristobal has forgotten that. And in the irony of all ironies, I don't think Mario Cristobal will kneel. Real ones, no. So we're taking Miami and we're laying all those 21 points right there. And think about the Cam Ward implications of this. You might not get a big stage to continue to build out that Heisman Trophy campaign. Miami's offense stays aggressive. Hurricanes cover big. Then we're going to the Sunflower State Showdown. Kansas State and Kansas. And last week, the Jayhawks finally got like a good result. And it had me going under the hood and taking a look at sort of where they've been offensively, because Kansas has been really tough with the turnovers. The whoopsie-daisy rate for Jalen Daniels and this team has been through the roof, but they've still been able to move the football. And I think that right now they're playing with some confidence. I think they can hit enough explosive plays, and I don't trust Kansas's defense at all, that in this Kansas State-Kansas rivalry game, I think both offenses can throw haymakers. We got that nice little shade under the key number of 56. So we'll go in Kansas State, Kansas over 55.5 on Saturday night.
All right. Absolutely love the picks. Again, you can get all these picks on SportsLine. I mentioned that this is really important. And this is a real-time example of how SportsLine, the picks work and how the lines can potentially move. Brad Bet says, see, it's 38.5 and 39. He's talking about Cedric Tillman, of course. It's 38.5 and 39.5 everywhere. 38.5 on MGM right now. Do you still like it? Okay, so first of all, the answer is yes. I can tell you definitively, I checked this line at 9:40 Eastern Standard Time. In other words, 44 minutes ago. It was still, and I was surprised because I put this bet in last night around 10:45, 11 o'clock. I was surprised it was still at 37.5. But at 44 minutes ago, it was still 37.5, still at minus 125. So this has now gone up a full yard. Not a big deal. I would honestly play this really up to probably like 43.5, to be honest with you. And I do think this will slowly go up as we get closer to Sunday. But with all that said, like, this is why you want to become a member of SportsLine, right? I don't think the example I'm giving is super dramatic. We've seen prop stars and Mike McClure give out picks and the lines shift way more dramatically than that. But this is just a real-time example. I literally looked right before the show started and boom, it's already gone up since I put in the pick last night, but also since I checked just a little bit ago. So be a member of SportsLine. I'm telling you, there's so much to it's not just picks. There's so much more on SportsLine. If you want to become a member, sportsline.com/join. You type in the promo code winners. You get 60% off the annual plan. Again, sportsline.com/join. Type in the promo code winners, 60% off the annual plan. All right. What we like when we're on the right side of the closing line value. And I'm sure when we look at all these picks, we'll start to see the juice shift or the lines shift a little bit because everyone on here is super, super sharp. Let's take a look at the recap screen before we get out of here. I'm on Cedric Tillman over 35.5 receiving yards, minus 125. If you want to get this play in, get it in sooner rather than later. This has obviously gone up 3 yards since I put the pick in last night. Sniper, Yankees Dodgers over 8.5 at minus 110. Mike McClure, Navy first quarter plus 3.5 at minus 115. Buckets, Coln, Paderborn over 3.5 minus 105. And Torino Como, both teams to score minus 115. Chip Patterson tonight, UNLV team total over 30.5. Miami minus 21. Kansas State, Kansas over 55.5. All right, ladies and gentlemen, what a great show. We packed it in with so many picks, so much analysis, and so much participation from you. Everybody, let's have an amazing Friday. On behalf of the Sniper, Buckets, Mike McClure, Chip Patterson and his Chip Me Up, and of course, Jake the Snake on the 1s and 2s and 3s and 4s. I'm the Counselor of Cash. This is the Early Edge. We rest our case.